and welcome to another jungle video, and in this one we shall be taking a look at one of the more contentious runes since runes reforged, and that's Predator. And the reason I say that is because when the runes were first released, basically everyone was running clickbait, Predator, everything. However, over time that fascination dwindled, people found better runes for their champions. However, now we've got a rune that has a very specific niche audience, but recently we've seen a bit of an increase in the appearance of Predator and on specific champions. The unique nature of this keystone has enabled many a weird jungler to finally be able to move faster than a minion. However, sometimes it just simply makes them a minion that's going first. And so we're going to look at some of the best uses of Predator where it actually enables a champion to have a strong impact than they otherwise could. So if you play a champion with Predator that isn't in this video, let me know in the comments if you do and which are your favorite Predator users. Now I won't go in any particular order, but I will save the best for last. And so yes, I will keep my mobile fire tier list updated, which I will update from patch to patch when there won't be a video. You can keep up to date with the top junglers as well as the top off-meta junglers at that link in the description below. And from now on we'll keep a Predator section specifically based on this video. The whole concept here is that you have 45% movement speed boost for 15 seconds once you channel it, and upon impact actually have a higher base damage than Electrocute at rank 1. From there on out you have the same scaling up until 180 and have the same AD and AP scaling also, which means that initial damage when you make contact is exactly the same as it would be with Electrocute. Obviously Electrocute has a significantly shorter cooldown and doesn't give you movement speed. And the first champion I want to talk about is Volibear. He will be getting his rework next year and he does have a best rune in Aftershock. However, the reason he's getting his rework is because his kit is very easy to predict, it's very easy to understand what he's going to do. Nonetheless, he does have ways to gap close and get closer to his target. Deadman's Righteous Glory. He even got an amazing quality of life buff on his Q where the movement speed escalates as he gets closer to his target. All of these things help him get in range to use his combo, to use his chomp. However, Predator adds an extra spice to his early game. Sometimes if there's a lot of ranged champions, you've got a Vayne top for some ungodly reason, that Predator can just give you enough extra movement speed, a little bit of burst, get your full combo and chomp them down before they can escape the situation. So therein is another use of Predator, not just for these slow champions like Galio and Ornn who have difficulty just walking. If a champion has a movement speed boost and you need it to gap close because you have no dashes, or you really need to be in melee range of ranged champions, Predator can help you get that extra speed that you need. The whole point is it actually fixes some shortcomings about gap closing on Volibear. It is all the more useful if you're someone who likes to build a little bit of AD in your build, maybe a Titanic Hydra, something like that, so that initial contact after using Predator gives you a bit more damage also, which of course gets them lower when you want to use your W. So yes, not the most optimal rune for Volibear, however definitely one of the more fun uses of this Predator rune, and can definitely enable some game-changing plays when you need to hard engage and when you need to gap close. Now we go from one of my favorite champions to one of my least favorite, Skirner. Now most people know on my Discord that I actually hate this champion, because whenever he is OP, whenever he is meta, he is just so difficult to deal with, and he is actually one of the better users of Predator because he has so many different possible build paths. I had a one-trick Skirner on my friends list a couple years ago who only ran attack speed. You can run Warrior, the Sheen and Triforce are core, getting Cinderhawk to be tanky, Righteous Glory for that engage. Perhaps any Skirner mains, the degenerates you are, can let us know in the comments what your favorite builds are. But the thing is with Skirner Predator is you actually see it in pro games and high elo games as well, purely because his CC, his lockdown, his game-changing ultimate, when you use Predator with that, there's basically nothing anyone can do about it. Now, Volibear of course can also create a zone with his Q once you activate the Predator. Oh no, here he comes. But you're not really quivering in your boots. When the Predator has Skirner active and you don't know where he is and you're an ADC without a Quicksilver Sash, if he comes out of nowhere with that ultimate, I'm not sure if it quite shocks you as much as a Rengar, but it's still gonna be pretty annoying nonetheless because you just can't move. I'd rather just die in 2 seconds than not be able to move for 10 seconds. And I mean, people have tried Predator on Rengar as well. But again, Predator can open up your build paths, not having to go for that Righteous Glory, not being dictated by that item. If you're going Warrior with a bit more of an offensive build, the Predator, even in the early game, in those skirmishes, in those ganks, with the ultimate and chain CC you have, even that surprising damage, and as a Zyra main whose E may or may not be on cooldown and you don't have flash, you kind of just become a household pot plant as you wait for the Scorpion to deliver his needle of pain. Insinuate into that what you will, but let's just be happy we are not in these 60% win rate Skirner days. Right, next up I'm grouping two together, Malphite and Poppy, because we talked about them in the off-meta jungler video. I'm not going to spend too much time on them here. But for Malphite, that full AP Predator build can be such an absolute game changer because of the impact that you can have with your ultimate. You are building AP, so you do get extra scaling on that damage from Predator. You're basically almost overkilling the ADC, the poor thing. But for Malphite, it's kind of the same thing, but he definitely is a better user of Predator, given that you need to close the gap for your ultimate, given that you have Q to steal movement speed. His kit just synergizes very well when building full AP, and even if you are building any sort of AP items that have movement speed boosts or gap closers like Twin Shadows, Shurelia's, Proto Belt, when you have the Predator rune, it just either adds or replaces them and basically lets you become one giant asteroid strike. Poppy, on the other hand, we talked about, she has better runes in Electrocute, perhaps Aftershock, but Predator to gap close again is very useful. She has her own movement speed in her kit, so it's not as useful. However, being able to get closer to someone to pin them against a wall, get your ultimate off, it can be very powerful altogether. Before we get into the two most interesting users of this particular rune, I want to give a shout out to our Viking brother Olaf. Yes, he does run way better with Conqueror, however, it is niche in certain cases to see him run Predator to get as close as possible so you can hit one axe and begin the chain events that will lead to the enemy's Bloody Eagle. However, as I said, if you have good Olaf play, if you are running Conqueror, you're not going to need the Predator, and in fact it is way less effective overall as a rune, but it can definitely be something fun for you to play should you like to run fast and have a bigger beard. And now on the two main users of this, I'm going to start off with Nunu. Yes, Nunu and Willem run Aftershock. Yes, people hate Nunu and Willem for having high win rates, pretty decent usage rates, strong damage on the ultimate, CC that almost rivals Ornn's. However, there's one thing worse than all of that, and that's when Nunu runs even faster at you at level 4 in the game. Normally, you know, when he has dead mans or something like that and he's rolling down the lane with a full snowball, you kind of expect it. But at level 4, 5, 6, when he doesn't have that item and suddenly lane ganks or sprints to a situation Nunu, that can be quite devastating. Considering the fact that he's also running Proto Belt after Aftershock now, health, cooldown, AP, he's got a lot of base damage as we said. You can use that shoot forward active with your E to land that final E proc hard stun. Back when I made my full Nunu guide when he was just released, I talked about a hybrid build which had a mixture of tankiness and AP, and Proto Belt sort of helps you along with that idea while still building Cinderhulk. Predator, on the other hand, just enables so much more of his kit. The movement speed that you use before you use your snowball means you're running down the lane extremely quickly. There's not very many places people can go. Rotating to situations as Nunu is absolutely crucial because as a map control jungler and objective control jungler, being as active as possible is very important, and Predator just helps out with that. In addition to the fact, as I said, you have perfect synergy with your snowball. And this is basically a perfect storm with this rune. Being able to rotate your situations quickly, have it go well with one of your movement speed abilities, and the fact that you have tons of CC, so when you get there, no one is moving anywhere, and that's the whole point of this rune, right? To make everyone feel like they are Warwick, that they can rotate around the map with speed, with ease, and that they can affect lanes when they do stupid things like die 1v1 despite the fact you've camped their lane. But as much and as fun as Nunu can be with Predator, his best rune is still definitely going to be Aftershock. It's the safer rune choice. But that doesn't mean he isn't one of the best users for Predator. However, the best user for Predator that we are seeing in every single pro game, every single high elo game, well, it feels that way basically, doesn't it? It's the fat man Gragas. When you're so drunk you need boots to help you move, well, you know, you've probably drunk a little too much. But he is being used all over the world at the absolute top tiers of play because of the fact that his Predator rune helps him rotate to situations quicker. He's building a lot of AP, he isn't building full tank, which means he gets the extra burst on that Predator proc. And also remember, in games where there's going to be less action early, when there's less ganking early, the cooldown on Predator versus Electrocute isn't as much of a big deal because all fights are based around ward control, all fights are based around objective fighting. You're not just running around looking to proc your Electrocute. You can afford to wait for the Predator to be up again and then engage using that spell damage, using it on your ultimate, and a full Gragas AP combo with Predator. Well, it's not quite Season 3 one-shots, but you can get pretty damn close. Ultimately, Gragas on Predator sums up the exact reasons why you would take this rune. You can always proc the damage, your ganks are less predictable, and wards don't often help whatsoever. Doesn't matter if there's vision because you're running straight through it anyway, and in pro play, high elo play, that is one of the most important things. In team fights, you can catch someone with a Predator ult, They're slower than you, nothing they can do about it. And when you combine this rune with the utility of your kit, with the CC of your champion, perhaps with your runic echoes like in the Gragas's case, the damage spike that replaces not having electrocute or anything like that, the whole thing comes together in quite a devastating package. And Gragas on Predator with his AP build, with his hybrid build if you're doing that, sort of symbolizes exactly the power fantasy you're looking for with this rune. Whether it makes slow things move fast or faster things move even faster, you cannot deny it opens up the avenues for your ganking angles, whether it's lane, from the side, from the back, whether it opens up your team fighting accessibility to get to the back line. The utility of this rune, despite the fact that its cooldown can be quite high in a solo queue setting, is very potent. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you were able to enjoy, I guess learn something about Predator, I hope. We are on the road to 100k subs, so if you did enjoy this, if you do enjoy my full gameplay guides and want to see more of them, please click the subscribe button. Do consider liking, sharing, and commenting if you enjoy this video. It does help push it also. And as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial.